This bolt is this bolt, and the nut is this nut. It's a nylock nut.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
So
those.
it locks. One of them I put.
Not with surgical ones, but
Well, they are just 360 nail, but they are normal already. So his hinge is good here, nice and tight. Okay, so that's all gonna go home with you. You can bring it back.
there's a bushing inside there that prevents it from being
The
over
nut.
tightened.
There is a nylon bushing to facilitate the movement.
Yeah.
So there is no metal on metal contact. In rudder, actually, that nylon bushing broke during treatment because he used his leg for several months, and so these hinges are, and we can always replace it, or we leave with a squeak or something.
Okay.
But either way was okay. All right. So the nut, we'll do it after I rebandage him. But I'm gonna make sure these are tight. This you won't have to do.
Very mechanical.
It is. It's basically like repairing a car, but it's a dog. Okay, I will remember to do the other side. So I try to use this sparingly, and I will usually put it on I just split the tongue depressor, so I have some thin handle to place this at, and I'll just gently place it right here. And again, this no longer is necessary. After a few weeks, you will see that the interface is really calm. That makes sense? And
Is
there
this
is
just
no
a standard
drainage.
triple antibiotic?
It is.
Okay.
Triple antibiotic ointment, anything like bacitracin, it's just mostly, in all honesty, we don't think this makes as a proven benefits relative to nothing, but in the short term, it keeps the it's an obstacle, that makes sense, to bacteria. So the presence of a gel is what's most important. But I was trying to review the human literature if that actually makes a difference, and we don't know. And on the human side, they also change these bandages once a week.
Okay.
Except like we're recommending now in the first period. And this pin right here is the one that's draining the most, so that's going to continue for a little bit. Sometimes it's near a lymphatic vessel. You see, this is just clear fluid. It's going to be like that for a little bit, so we just get used to it.
So that could be the crustiest one too. Yep.
And so this one, for example, we could add this, and it will absorb the fluid a little bit better, and then so I usually start by cutting this in half, and this, and then I'll make 4 cuts kind of evenly that match them. And then I place it from back to front, because if he pulls on it with his mouth, he's gonna pull from the front. But it wouldn't be totally wrong to go the other way around. If you have a hard time reaching, take your time. Or you can push it with this, like this. It's not too. But here, as you see, it's all stuck now, and it's gonna stay there. This also is a barrier. If it gets dirty, or if he licks it, he's gonna lick this. It's not that big a deal. I can use this for his other foot. And then we do the same thing. We cut it in half with our scissors. And then I make little pants like we did with the gauze, like this. Then I'll slide in the space and it fits nicely down there. We can do a double. It's pretty quick. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Once you've done it a couple times.
And so we're left with two. I'll just save this. I'll make another double. The spacing is a little bit big, so that's why I have like a single one in there. Otherwise it stretches the gas too much. Here I put that at the top, just a mini shock absorber. The bar goes up to here. There's nothing. This is just a little safety. And we're done with the leg here. We just have to wrap it. Ideally, we would, and I don't have it and they don't really sell it, we would put a little fleece, thick fleece sleeve that you would just slide on. That makes sense? Like a little cover of some type, but this is the best alternative. So we try to leave the hinge exposed so it moves freely. And there's no super convenient way to wrap, but I make sure everything I wrap is nice and tight and kind of in contact with the skin, but without putting too much pressure. So the edge of this is just down to the skin.
Okay.
Could you buy, like you can buy fleece at a?
Yes, you could make it,
And
absolutely.
just make something like
yeah.
that? Okay, I
And
might
so
look into
if
that.
I do, yeah, you would just say, hey, here is a piece of fleece. Either you put a little Velcro at the end, you would want to hook it around
So
the
close
bar
it.
and close it to itself. I'll show you a little bit later. And then maybe a little elasticity to it, or a little tightness on one side. So it's, it's hooked on here. And then, the fleece would save a lot of time and effort, basically. I have fleece covers, but they are for different kinds of external fixator, and they don't fit on these long ones. They're made for the rings. So you see everything I do, I put enough tension. There's no danger here because it doesn't push on the skin. And I hook it up underneath here. I make sure there is enough cover on the inside so they don't bang on each other too harshly.
It didn't look like
There's
when he was walking that they even touched.
They touch once, I thought.
Did they?
Yeah, and I saw it once this morning. We're not talking about some major problem. It's
He
like
would-
he's kind of distracted, and then
As he gets used to it, he'll
yeah,
adjust
yeah,
his walking to it.
exactly. I agree. I thought the same thing. So it's rubbery enough between that and the vet wrap. I don't want it to be, gigantic.
Just feel how much padding is on it.
Okay.
So usually I'll make a little split in the vet wrap, and then I'll pass one. I'll kind of lock it on itself, and I make sure I go nice and low here, and nice and tight at the beginning, so the entire sling doesn't fall off. Sorry, baby. And it's not a giant crisis if the thing falls off. Even if he spends a few hours without one, it's not going to affect the outcome. We just like it to be covered. If it slips off, it slips off. We just do it a little bit differently. We go put a little bit more tension on it. We put it a little closer to the skin. I just,
We give him a bigger E-collar.
if you think his mouth is pulling it, but you
Yeah.
see, it's pretty strong, so he's not going to pull it. You just basically don't want him to pull it in a few seconds. That makes sense?
Yeah.
He would have to work on it for a while to pull it. But
And nothing ever gets in this part.
no.
You make sure the hinge
It's,
stays
you
open.
see, I design it so it's flush here and
Mhm.
it's round on this. So I change it from the one that came during the frame because this is the most effective way to do it. I've never seen anything. What gets caught is this, and sometimes we can saw the top off or cut it off, but then it gets really sharp. So it's pretty good the way it is. Yes. You don't really. It's titanium. It's not the easiest thing to grind and stuff. The bars are made of titanium. The bolts are made of steel. The clamps are made of aluminum. It's all different metals, but it's good because it's outside the body. They're all good metals for medical things. So again, I'm going under. making a little ball under tension. One more. There we go.
Had you had previous surgeries on, you said on the hawk, or was it no?
No, it was another
That was
dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was this OCD or?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That's what, as a breeder, what I would have called it. We're seeing a lot more in hawks than we used to.
Mhm.
Were you here with the, when the Wind and Morgan program was, Dr. Wind and Dr. Morgan did? the
Oh, I
Labrador
remember them,
program?
but I
Yeah.
was not here. Yeah.
They had a program that, in Labradors, they x-rayed, to pass it, you had to do hips, elbows, hocks, and shoulders.
Mm.
And so we were getting a pretty good handle on it at that point, but then
We really didn't have much of anything in Hawks at all
Yeah.
back then.
we never saw hawk OCD. Now we see them
Yeah.
all the time.
And we're not the only breeder that's having issues with them.
Well,
It's something,
Looking to start x-raying again.
yeah, yep, we are.
at least feel for it, because if it's swollen and puffy, I think we can pretty confidently. When I saw him, I think he has it on both sides,
Yeah.
even just from measuring
We
them.
thought so,
Yeah.
too.
So,
It was pretty obvious.
All right, is that good for the video?
yeah, we good. I'm gonna